I'm W, and I'm talking about intentional living and some of the challenges that I'm taking on my channel. So in January, I started a no buy, low buy challenge and a no waste, zero waste, low waste challenge. And I just wanted to report back on how January went. In general, I ended up spending a lot less, especially on food and eating out. And like my my dog just jumped up onto the couch and distracted me a little bit. And my overall spending was lower. I spent less on coffee, and I basically, like, a lot of the stuff that I usually buy, like journals and stationery and pens, did not buy. I took a trip to Washington State and ended up buying no souvenirs. The only thing that I brought home with me at all changed was a pair of pants that I mended during conference sessions that I attended. I also ended up buying a few things that I did want to try out for the low waste. Like, I bought pine kitty litter and a sifting litter box because I have cute kitties. Hopefully everybody enjoys cats. Today I actually bought a tripod to play around with the YouTubes and the video taking and editing a little bit. So my pets are checking out the tripod setup that I have, and they're all very interested in the fact that I'm talking to no one. So yeah, I bought like the pine litter with the sifting litter box because it's better for the environment than clay litter. I bought some replacement items for things that broke. I bought some muslin to practice embroidery on. So there are things that could be considered for other people, like items that would be on their no-buy list. But if I like using the term low-buy because I feel like, for me personally, a no-buy challenge would be too restrictive. And there are projects that I need to do, like as a homeowner, but also as somebody who's trying to reduce their waste. So I'm taking on projects like mending and patching clothing, making sure that the items that I get for my pets are eco-friendly. Like right now I'm looking at replacements for the plastic dog waste dogs that I use. I do a lot of cooking at home, so sometimes I have to buy cooking utensils that I don't have. Like, I also am the kind of person that makes do even when they probably should upgrade or buy something new. Like, I use measuring cups to measure soup out into bowls and things like that. So as a new homeowner and as someone who's trying to be crafty and more DIY, there are things that I have bought. And so I did, like, we just went over the how last year, or last month, when it's February 1st when I'm filming this. I did want to talk a little bit about the impressions that other people have on especially the no buy challenge. I found that my friends and people around me often ask if I can buy groceries, which I think is a bit ludicrous. Of course I can buy groceries. My rules are really that I'm trying to buy things with as little waste as possible, especially plastic waste. And if I have to buy something that has a lot of like extracted materials or plastic, then it's going to have to last me a long time. I try to thrift first, and if I can't find something in the thrift store, then I check my local Buy Nothing group. Buy Nothing groups are great. Mine runs through a Facebook group. I don't know if they're all the same, but my Buy Nothing group was started by one of my neighbors that just moved into the neighborhood a few months ago. There are also like free Craigslist ads and all sorts of offers that you can find. And then, of course, depending on what you're looking for, it will be easier or harder to find something. Like last month, I bought a popcorn popper at Goodwill that was really easy to find at Goodwill, but when I looked for a tortilla press, I couldn't find a tortilla press through Goodwill or other thrift stores or the Buy Nothing group, and I finally, in Wisconsin, the only place I could find a tortilla press was a store called Fleet Farm that sells farm supplies and camping and hunting and sports supplies and hunting weapons and things like that. But they do focus a lot on food preservation and like sort of home cooking. So I was able to buy the tortilla press, and then when I was there, I also found fermentation weights, and I had been looking for fermentation weights for a long time. I do home fermenting, so I ended up buying the tortilla press and the fermentation weights. One of my friends was like, ha ha ha, it seems like that's not Buy Nothing, but it's not a Buy Nothing, but it is a low buy experience because I'm going to use the fermentation weights for probably decades. I'm going to use hopefully the tortilla press for decades. It was a little bit more flimsy than I was expecting. It was made out of aluminum and it's a little bit hard to press the tortillas, but it actually makes making tortillas a lot easier. And so that's also one of the things, because I'm doing low buy and low waste at the same time. I'm looking at replacing a lot of the convenience foods that I eat that have a lot of plastic packaging with making my own. So I now have a tortilla recipe that I'm pretty comfortable with, and I've been making my own tortillas, but I also use the same recipe for pizza crust, and the pizzas that I had were pretty good. So it's just a way of changing the narrative from I want X and I need it now and I'm gonna just go to the store and buy it, to I need this and I want it now and it's gonna take about 10 minutes to make tortillas, and it's gonna take 10 minutes to make tortillas. So I'd rather take that 10 minutes, which is actually, if not the same amount of time it takes me to go to the store that I have pretty close by. I have a food co-op that has a lot of organic and local items. Going to that and checking out and coming home probably would be at least 10 minutes. So it's just one of those things. I'm trying to bulk up on ingredients for baking and creating my own tortillas and breads and cakes and sauces and stews, and leaving behind a lot of the stuff that I would buy in bulk. Also making my own ferments. Hopefully when summer comes around I'll learn how to pressure can. That's my big project that I have given myself this year. I might end up doing water bath canning instead. Depends on what kind of canners I can find out there. And also it's going to depend, I think, a little bit on whether or not I can get a used thrifted or free canner versus a new one. And also I've been looking at getting a dehydrator. So there are a lot of questions about what I'm going to do in the summer right now. There is a lot of snow on the ground. Last year I mixed growing my own food with a farm share, and I had too much food. This year I'm going to try to increase the amount of food I grow with a farm share and put a lot more food up. So hopefully I will really reduce my grocery bill next fall and winter. That's all getting a little bit off topic. It's on topic because it is about the low and no buy, but I've just found that when you say that you are participating in a low buy, and low waste, you get a lot of different reactions. And I think the two most common ones are, oh, that's really cool, that's great. I'm also doing what I can to try to reduce what I'm using and buying, or it's not that they don't think it's a bad idea, but anytime they feel like you're being imperfect, then they mention it. I just feel like that's not helpful. I have my own priorities and I have my own reasons for doing the no buy and low buy. And, and my voice sounds pretty scratchy because I've been dealing with potential asthma problems and colds and going to a conference where I talked for like 10 hours a day. So to me it sounds bad. I hope it doesn't sound bad to other people, but it's just not helpful for other people to sort of make fun of you for trying to do better. Like, people aren't perfect, and I'm not gonna be perfect, and there are gonna be times where I like go to a movie for fun, or like I have that in my budget, like a fun fund for like going to movies or buying stuff, and I actually haven't been using it in the same way that I did before, but I just don't. I feel like we focus too much on perfection when really what we need to be doing is um, reducing where we can for our circumstances and being mindful with what we buy and how we buy it, and then doing what we can to just reduce what we buy and what we consume. And a lot of it to me has to do with the unseen suffering that our overconsumption has caused throughout the world. Like, there are children in other countries that pick through garbage for different coppers and metals and electronic parts, and there are people who work in extraction mines and get injured, and or sometimes slaves, and the extraction mines around the world pollute the areas around them, and we have sweatshops producing what we buy. The price tags for our consumable items have gone down so much, and part of that is because they're basically planned to break down before their lifetime is really over, so then we have to buy more and consume more. And it just has been weighing on my heart a lot because I care about people and don't want people to suffer, especially for something as trivial as me being able to buy a $6 shirt at Target, or me being able to buy a package of tin foil. So that's where I am right now. I feel like I did pretty good last month. I definitely reduced my spending, and I still, like, so I have a budget and I have savings. I went over budget. I dipped into my savings. Part of that was paying for someone to come watch my pets in my house while I was gone. So that wasn't perfect. And I knew that expense even before I decided to do the low buy challenge. But I did reduce my overspending by about 75%. So I thought that that was really good. I'm headed in the right direction. And then so the reason why I created this video is really because I went to Costco today on a Costco run to get groceries, and I got a lot of products that I use all the time, like pasta and canned tomatoes and Annie's mac and cheese, things that are really quick and easy to make, because I feel like making convenience foods at home that don't take long is better in the long run than going to like a fast food restaurant because I'm desperate and really just want to put something in my mouth. So I got some of those convenience items. Also, I really love their dried mango, and in the winter when there isn't fresh fruit readily available locally, a lot of times I'll get their dried mango just because I feel like eating exotic fresh fruits that are brought in from other places, especially far away, is taxing to the system. And I feel like buying a giant bag of dried fruit or frozen food in bulk is a much better and sustainable model for if you're gonna eat. And really, the best thing I think would be if I found a local distributor of dried fruit and like frozen fruit. But if you're going to be buying food from a long distance, then buying it in bulk in a way that will stay like edible for longer is good. But so I went to Costco and there were a lot of impulse buys there. Like I really want to organize my pantry better. I have a lot of flowers that I'd like to put in canisters that I don't have. So I saw mason jar canisters that I thought were really exciting, and thought about buying them because they were 3 for $10.99, and I held back because they weren't on my list. There were a couple things I bought, like nut butter and mayonnaise, that weren't on my list. But those are consumables, and in some ways it's just thinking ahead. More just convenience foods that I can make pretty quickly. And also I bought the it's avocado mayonnaise, avocado oil mayonnaise, because I buy the same brand of mayonnaise at the food co-op, and I buy it in much smaller jars, and the jars are made of glass, so it's just better to buy one very large jar in bulk and then use that up than continuously buying very small jars of the same product. And I was just thinking about how if I went into work and was talking to people at work about what I bought, there's a chance that somebody would be like, well, I thought you weren't buying anything. Also, I bought the tripod for the camera just because this is something that I'm testing out, and I'm learning how to do YouTube, and I'm learning how to do the thriftiest kinds of upgrades that I can for increasing the quality of the videos. This is part professional and part fun for me, so I just bought the tripod so I could test this out. And so when I got home from Costco earlier, it appeared that one of the cats had knocked over my French press, which for me that's an emergency. Excuse me, I hiccuped. For me that's an emergency. Like, I have to have coffee tomorrow morning. I'm gonna be volunteering in the morning, so like at 8 a.m. Well, I have to be there at 8:20. So I really want to have coffee on hand just to get me through the morning and get me motivated to get out. The dogs are making a lot of noise today. So I was looking online and I was finding some stainless steel, like full metal French presses, and they were, one, very expensive, almost prohibitively so, and two, not really available in my local area. This is my puppy Django. He's been sitting off to the side, but now he wants to really climb onto the ottoman. The ottoman I have set up with the tripod and the camera. So I wasn't finding any in my local area. And I looked for thrifting French presses and stuff, but the problem that I had was that I really don't want another glass, like, beaker that's gonna break if it gets knocked over by one of my pets. So I was looking at the full metal ones, and a lot of them had like metal or like plastic tops. Like Williams Sonoma has one that has a plastic top. So I went to Bed Bath and Beyond, which is not my perfect scenario. And I was looking at the French presses. They only had one that I could find, and it had glass, which isn't totally unexpected, because it looked like the glass was really the most available one. So I was looking and I saw this espresso maker, and it has good reviews online. It's by a lady Moka Express, made in Italy. So this is metal. It does have plastic on it, but I feel like it's going to last a long time. I'm a little worried because it says in the instructions that if I do this wrong, it will blow up, but we'll see what happens. I might not blow up. It's could be fine. Now I have another dog that's trying to jump onto the couch. So yeah, so I did buy $100 worth of stuff today. So that's not ideal for a low buy challenge, but I need a way to make coffee that's going to last a really long time. One of the reasons I chose this espresso maker is that I could take it and use it while camping on like a camp stove. There's just so much for animals to make noise with in my house. So I can use it while I'm camping if that happens. I don't go camping very often, but like if I ever needed to, I could use it without electricity, basically. It will work well on my gas stove, and it should last a long time. I may never have to replace it. Here's hoping if I take care of it. So this has been a lot longer than I expected to make, but that's, I guess, the way it is. But yeah, so I just wanted to put my experiences out there because I know that a lot of people have posted like how to make rules for your low buy, no buy challenge, how to go to the store without buying anything. I haven't seen a lot on the actual sort of social impact where people in your social circle are sort of fussing at you for taking on a new project like a low buy. So I just wanted to put my experiences out there, and I guess all of my pets wanted to make their own cameos, which is fine. Maybe it improves the video quality. The other thing is that I think that one essential for me, at least for the low buy, has been going to my public library. I used to have a Barnes & Noble membership and I canceled it. Now I just get all of my books from the library. I'm really lucky because the Appleton Public Library has a wonderful selection, but they also have a really good loan network. So what I've been reading lately has been The Mirror Empire by Cameron Hurley. I got this because Cameron Hurley, the third book of this trilogy, is coming out soon, or it could already be out. I just saw it mentioned online, so I decided to get the first book. And if you like Game of Thrones, I feel like you would like The Mirror Empire. It's a sort of epic fantasy with a lot of political intrigue and war and violence. It wasn't as dire, I feel, as Game of Thrones was. I had a hard time with Game of Thrones because it just seemed like everything was always going wrong with like no payoff of like instant gratification or like any kind of positive storyline. So that really wore on me after a while. This is a little bit different. It's still pretty violent and dire, but not so much that you just feel like everything's blending in together. So I guess that's my, not necessarily a book recommendation. I do enjoy reading it. It's what I'm reading right now. You can get most of the time videos at the library. My library has a seed library, so I can get seeds to grow in my garden for free. A lot of libraries have like cooking, like say baking pans and video game systems and laptops and all sorts of things that you can buy, as well as like events. There was a mayoral forum at my library the other day. It was actually full, so I couldn't go to it, but there are artists in residence at my library who teach classes and workshops and book clubs and craft clubs and adult coloring nights with Coco and all sorts of things. There's like a teen digital lab where kids can learn how to use different design programs and to play Minecraft and all sorts of other interesting programs. They're looking at possibly creating some sort of business center to help people that are creating their own small businesses. So I feel like for a low waste challenge, oh no, like the library is pretty much essential because there are so many services there that are free, but also entertainment that's free. You can rent DVDs or maybe Blu-rays. I don't know what the kids are watching these days. You can get audiobooks and a lot of times ebooks and just so much. So this is, I feel like I've exceeded by a lot the time that I expected this to be, but I just wanted to talk about how I felt about last month and specifically how my reactions from people I know have been. If you have one of these Bialetti Moka Expresses and want to talk about your experience with it, just leave it down in the comments. I'll also, I guess, provide a link to this. I don't have any kind of like affiliate store or anything. I don't, my morals say that I shouldn't get in bed with Amazon. I guess I am because I have a book on Amazon, but I don't know about that. I try not to buy anything from Amazon because I don't like their business practices. That was also a digression, but yeah, so I will link to this in the bio about area for the video. I guess I'll link to this too. I just wanted the mobile tripod with the flexible legs, and this had a lot of extra little things like a carrying case and little lenses, so I figured that it would be good to play around with those. It was maybe like $20 or $30 more for all the accoutrements. And if you have your own comments on like your own experiences with people's reaction to you starting a low buy challenge or even talking about starting one, just leave those down in the comments. And if you want, subscribe to my channel and press the little bell icon to get notifications when my videos come out. Hope you have a good night.